Hey guys, I got Jose Guillen with me here on the podcast, Local Growth Academy podcast. Thanks so much for being with me, Jose. I appreciate your time, and just wanted to kind of introduce everybody to you. You are the founder of Refined Painting. You are in the Northwest in like the Seattle area, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, and I think you said you've been in business for about 2 years.
Yes. This is gonna be our second year in business. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love it. Well, man, I love bringing on great people, people that I know, that like, trust, and and especially people that are doing really cool things. And one of the great things I love about your brand is that you get really cool logo, really good brand. You've been like really like eager and just kind of hungry. Like you can see the movement online. And one of the coolest things I think about you personally is just how much video content you do. And what I wanted to do is just give me a moment. Let's talk about your story, how you got started, and let's
Yeah.
just kind of dive into some tips and stuff for folks along the way.
Yeah. I'm from the Seattle area. A little bit about me is like I have a sales background.
Okay.
I used to work for AT&T when I was fresh out of high school. So that kind of got the sparked a little sales in me. Obviously, it's not like
Gotcha.
high ticket sales or anything, but it just sparked the entrance of sales.
Yeah.
After AT&T, I went ahead and started working for a painting company here in Seattle.
Okay.
And that's kind of what got me into painting. I didn't know anything about painting at all. It got my foot wet in the industry. And yeah, I was a salesperson slash closer for this company.
Okay.
And then I worked for about a year. And after about 8 months, what was supposed to be a year, I ended up leaving and just starting my own painting business. So I only had 8 months of experience of painting, and that's kind of how I got into the painting industry. And thankfully, now we're in our second year of business. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what was the catalyst to break out on your own? Kind of curious.
Um, if you know, I've always been an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Since
You
I
just
would
kind of
say,
knew you wanted to do it, kind of thing.
yeah, I knew even before I got this job, I told the person who hired me, I was like, hey, I don't plan on being here for more than a year. And the
Wow.
reason why is because like, hey, I knew I needed to make money. I found out I just had a little one on the way. I
Mhm.
was expecting a little one on the way. I was like, hey, they said if I do really good, I can make over 100, $1,000 a year. So I was like, all I need is some capital so I can again try to start another business because at this point I already had two failed businesses. So
Mhm.
all my capital swiped. Anyways, I was like, yeah, I need to start my own thing. And to be honest with you, I didn't think it was going to be paying.
Yeah.
I always told myself that I was not going to get into the construction industry, just seeing how my father worked long hours and obviously the pay not being worth it. But again, he was a laborer. But anyways, I saw the bad things about the construction industry, so I told myself I wasn't going to do it. And the reason why I decided to do my own thing is just because it was a vehicle that I knew I could, be successful in with my, ability to sell and my skill set that I had.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but we have that in common. So I grew up in a trades household too, and my mom had a paint company. This is in like the late '80s through the '90s and in the 2000s before she passed away. But so in the '90s, I used to go out and work weekends and summers and stuff in a paint crew. So I learned how to paint. I did that whole
Yeah,
thing too. But unfortunately, and unlike where you're at, like she never got out of the laborer mindset. She never really built up. She had a lot of painters. Like at one point, she had like up to 13 crews. Like, but she was
so,
still like a micromanager type personality. Was never like really a leader. Never had solid, repeatable marketing systems, solid, repeatable sales systems. So it was always real struggle and like really big ups and downs, feast and famine, like all the time, because there wasn't
yeah,
systems to be consistent. Um, and for a long time, I thought that's what business was. And you know what I mean? That took a lot of unlearning to not repeat. You know?
exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
if your dad was a laborer, you kind of you know what I'm talking about. Like it's just the whole
yeah.
yeah yeah
You see, I guess I could say that like I saw the bad things that went into it, and obviously he was a laborer, so he didn't, reap the fruit of his labor as much as he would want. So yeah, I just always thought I don't want to be. Another thing is I don't want to be outside. It rains here in Seattle like 9, 10 months out of the year, so I was like, I don't want to
yeah.
be in the rain. That's where I'm at, right?
Come down here, man. You'll get the opposite of that, man. You get like
Yeah,
just nuclear sun activity going on.
yeah,
um,
it's crazy.
well, dude. So how's this first year going, man? What do your numbers look like?
So last year, we hit 1.2 our first year in business, which is really great. Right
That's
now,
cool,
I'm
dude.
happy to,
Absolutely cool.
yeah. Right now, I'm happy to share that we're shy of 1 million already, and we still have 6 months to go, or 6, 7 months to go. So I'm really happy. I think this year, hopefully, if everything goes well, we're looking about 3.5 million. We have, because we're a seasonal like business here in Seattle because of the rain, we have like $600,000 months. So we really feel like we're about 3.5, how everything's going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's your biggest month to date?
Biggest month has been 320.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And last year I would assume is probably like what, 120, 150, somewhere above
No,
that.
that our biggest number was actually 320 last year.
Oh, was it? Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
And
Well, being the first year, I'm sure it like started out and then just
yeah,
ramped up real quick. Yeah.
yeah, I had
So,
that thing where I did 320, and then the next month it was like it's horrible.
that that happens. Are you mostly submodel, or how are you doing? How are you doing your?
Yes, so we're submodel right now. We are implementing right now, actually, as we speak. We're negotiating with bringing on one of our sub teams full time. So,
Oh, okay.
and then obviously,
Turning them into W-2s.
yeah, turn them into W-2s. We all of our other team is W-2, so we understand obviously, hey, like now we have some funds, to play with, some capital. So let's invest in quality and having higher quality than we already have now.
Love it. Love it. Um, so man, I mean, there's not many painters I mean, I've got painters that have been in this for years and they struggle to break a million, right? It's and plenty of people do, but not many people do it their first year, right? There's been a few, like Ellison did 1.7 his first year. You just did 1.2 your first year. So let's dissect that a little bit. Like, what do you think are some of the key components and things that you did to help you get to that scale fast?
Yeah, I think if I could, I would like to start from the beginning, like even
Go for it.
before we started
Yeah,
refined painting.
yeah, fire away.
So when I told you, hey, I've always been an entrepreneur. So when I was from the age of 17 all the way to like 2021, I read a book a week. And what that has done for me, it's helped me, better my skill set when it comes to psychology, because you need those for sales,
Mhm.
and then my skill set for sales in general, and then obviously managing a team, yeah, and being like a leader. So I think those are all things that help me get to where I'm at with at $1 million. And the way that we were able to do that is just door to door. Early on, I found Justin's team for trade launch. I think I
Yep.
found them, what was it? October, November of last year, so almost 2 years ago.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, I told Justin, I was like, hey, I'm willing to join the team if you can guarantee me I'm gonna, get my money back. So I ended up joining Justin's program, and 1.2 was mainly from door to door up until July. We tried slide on with Tritus, but that's kind of how we got to 1.2. It's just door to door, going out there, talking to people, getting in front of them, letting them know we're in the area. And just obviously a little bit of meta and a little bit of direct mail goes a long ways, and that's how we're able to do it. And obviously, the first year in business, I was the project manager, I was the salesperson, I was the admin, I was everything.
Everything.
So I'm really like proud to say that we hit 1.2 with me wearing like all these hats, because I know a lot of people who haven't hit 1 point or over a million, and they have like a production, they have an admin, they have all these things. And obviously, I didn't know what the right way of doing it was, right? My goal was just the big one.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that's kind of how we
Have
got there.
you
Yeah.
have you brought on admin or PM or anything like that yet?
Yes, yeah. Now I have, because I would go crazy if I didn't have that anymore. But we have an admin now, so she takes care of everything. And then we implemented a project manager about a month, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome.
because yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's really great. I think those things are like those roles are really 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 important. One of the things that I get a lot, hear a lot, and we get request a lot is like, which one should I hire first?
Yeah.
Which one did you hire first, and what's your mentality on that?
I hired an admin first, and the reason why is because it's been very hard for me to kind of like, hey, Jose, this is going on, right? This big fire is going on, and for me to be like, hey, go ahead and handle it. I don't want to hear about it. So I knew that obviously you got to know yourself, and I knew that me delegating the production and handing my baby, my refined painting over to someone regarding like how customer experiences go and everything. So I decided to hire an admin to take care of like the quote unquote the easier booking stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I break that down like two schools of thought. Like one, I think, like you said, you got to know yourself. Like, what are you good at? What do you want to do? Like, if you really wanted to do admin, you could hire something else out first. But I think that you should hire the opposite of your personality. I think for me,
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. Like, if
Yeah.
you're great at sales, the sales should be the one of the last things you let go of. If you're not good at sales, maybe sales is an earlier thing you let go of, right?
Yeah.
If you're great at project management, maybe that's one of the last things you let go of. If you're not,
Yeah.
at first, So I think a lot of it to me went. I forget who said this, but I heard something one time where it's like just like write down everything you do in a week, and then write down put a mark by the things you hate doing the most, and if those things, then that's the thing that you hire out first. Like, oh, that's kind
Yeah.
of that's a really really simple way. Just like write down everything you do, and then what do you not want out of those things that you just had to do this week? What are the things that make you the least happy, and get those things off your plate as fast as possible. And
Exactly.
I'm with you. Like admin for me is not it. I like being creative. I like chatting like this. I like leading teams. I like problem solving. I like doing those things. Getting in the weeds and like filling out forms and documentation and stuff is just not fun for me. That's not what I want to do.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was at. I was like, hey, that's the first step for me. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we have similar thought processes on that. It's pretty great. So, dude, 1.2 mostly door to door. Talk about the video piece though. Like, how has that helped? I mean, it was that
Oh,
part of the
man.
lead gen strategy? Did that help you close more deals? Like, what? Like, I mean, I for those of you that don't know, you should follow him online. He posts a ton of videos. They're all really great. If you go to his website, what is it? refinepainting.co. You can see a bunch there, and you can follow his link to his channels. But dude, you post a lot of media, a
Yeah.
lot, way more
So
than most painters.
what? Who did this for me? I'd be lying to you if I say hey, I came up with everything because I didn't. I
Yep.
have a good buddy of mine. His name is Jay. He helps us out with all of our social media. So that's like a little bit of a cheat code to hire someone for your social media.
Yep.
Anyways, he told me, Jose, you want to provide value, right? Because you can do call to action all you want. But providing value and, kind of like the Ramosi, right? Provide value and, as much as you can, don't expect anything out of it for, a few months, few years, whatever. We went that route. So we decided to make a Q&A. We post it every single Monday. I've only missed one Monday or two, which is pretty nice. So just consistency and being disciplined with everything. But we post every single day with the video now, and it's because customers like that. They get satisfaction of seeing like our Q&As and seeing like our B-roll footage that we have. I think it did take me some time to get used to because I don't know, just like people are gonna make fun of me. What am I gonna look like? So
Mhm.
that's like I think a hurdle that everybody goes through. So,
Yeah,
anyways, we
your
started
hurdle.
posting, and I'm really happy to say like we get a lot of people who watch the videos. Like I know the numbers don't show for it, but we get a lot of people who when we go out to do estimates, and if I go, they're like, "Oh my God, I saw your video, Jose," and they just start
That's
like
awesome.
they just start explaining like I watched this video where you because like as I'm walking around with them, right, doing their estimate, I'm like, hey, you see this here, we need to scrape. She's like, there. I had a customer last week. She's like, yeah, Jose, I know you scrape, and she literally started like rehearsing
Fighting your own
every
video.
exactly. And she was
That's
like,
great.
oh yeah, and I know you use this caulking and then this and this, so it's really nice. And
That's awesome.
it's organic content. I do it just to provide value, but I'm happy to say that I tracked how much sales that we got just from organic, and I can happily tell you that this year we've hit 230 just off of organic.
Just on
Um,
awesome.
and if you're doing 230 just to make videos that take you about 15, 20 seconds, it's a pretty, really, really good return on investment.
You know, I mean, the last like 20, 30 years at least, organic content in various forms, like is absolutely hands down the
Yeah.
number one return on investment. It's not the fastest to work. Like it's normally the curves look like kind of crap. Like ads can get you results right away. Door knock can get you results right away. Organic content normally doesn't, but when it starts growing, the results are normally snowball effect, big time.
Runs.
And they're low. The input output is just incredible.
Yeah.
And not only they get leads, but like you said, like you get people like this, like it's almost like this micro celebrity thing where like, oh
Yeah.
man, Jose, you know what I mean? Like that helps your buying process. They trust you before you ever walked in the door.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
No.
that's huge. That's so
Yeah.
huge.
It's
Um,
really nice. Like I'm really happy, and obviously like we call it like the celebrity effect, right? It's like you see my face because I do a lot of meta ads in my face too. So that on
Mhm.
top of the Q&As is just like, it's a killer. Yeah.
I have a question for you. Have you ever taken your organic content and done like a put that in meta ads?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? How do you structure that?
So obviously, like any marketing company, right? They want to get as much content as possible. So there was a time where I didn't have content, and I was like, you know what? And they're like, "Say, just send us some of the Q and A's," and we did. And I feel like that's kind of what started getting people attracted to our Q and A's. And
Mm-hmm.
then they look us up, and then they're like, "Holy shit, there's more Q and A's." And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, I think that's how it started. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that we do that I think is really cool with Facebook ads is we'll typically create like two different campaigns, like one for like direct response stuff, like hey, work with me kind of stuff, but then we'll create another campaign for engagement. We'll give it a
yeah,
goal for engagement, like likes, shares, comments, reach, views. That's it.
yeah,
And then we'll take our organic content, like even this podcast. This will get cut up into shorts. It'll have the whole thing. It'll get published. And some of that is going to end up in our meta campaign for
yeah,
organic reach. And all that does is it brings us new viewers, new watchers, but there's zero CTAs,
yeah,
like zero. Like there's no CTAs here at all. And so then what you can do is you can take your, those people get added to your pixel, and then your direct response stuff can hit them at a later point.
yeah,
But at that point, they've already hit you. I heard someone a long time ago, and I stole it. I don't know who I heard this from. I don't remember. It was on a video years and years and years ago. They call it the Geico lizard effect. Because, like,
yeah,
if you ask any random person, like, hey, if you had to switch car insurance, who would you say? Like, everyone says Geico. Like, everyone.
yeah.
Right. And it's because
100%.
they see that stupid lizard like everywhere.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And they just bombard it with all this content. Right. And
yeah,
they do have CTAs in their stuff, but it's just such a bombardment of content. Like, it's just the only thing you can really think of. Right.
yeah,
Maybe Allstate guy is like a close second, but like past that, like you're like, you know what I mean? You just like lose it. So
yeah.
like I think that for me, that's helped us increase a lot of reach, and it's still just with, like you said, with helpful content. Like I'm reaching new people with a very, very small amount of ads. Those ads are also cheap.
Yeah,
Like when you engagement ads are super, 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 super cheap because you're not actually trying to get a lead. You're just trying to get new people to see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love it. I love it. Glad to hear you doing something similar. Dude, what do you think? We talked about this before, but like a lot of times, other contractors of any kind, painters, whatever, they tend to not want to be in front of the camera. And that, like, they, some of the same reasons you said you were hesitant at first, like maybe people are going to make fun of me. Like, I don't know what I look like. Like, it could be like insert any fear in there. What do you think got you past that fear? And are there any tips you could give other people to help them?
I think necessity. I think like obviously, we have like seasons here in Seattle. So I think towards November, I mean, at this point we already were doing ads, but I think of like October, November, we had, remember I mentioned that 320 a month.
Hmm.
We did really good, and I think Jose was just high off of his ass for like a couple extra days.
Yep.
And I just started to go through like a path, right, of just like, not making as much money as I wanted us to. So it drove me to kind of be like, hey, we need to pull in leads. I don't care how it comes in. And every time I would talk to Jay, because I'd be like, hey, Jay, like, you're not doing your job, man. Like, we're not getting leads coming in. He's like, post, like, let's post, let's post. And I was like, all right, fuck,
Yeah.
like, let's post. Because I kept blaming him for, our leads, right? The usual contractor, right? That's what they do. And
Yeah.
anyway,
I've been on the receiving end of that a number of times.
yeah. So like that was me too. So I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't like that in the beginning
Yeah.
either. So anyways, I just started posting. I laugh because my videos, like when I shoot any video, it should take me like 15 tries, 10 tries, and then now I get it in like one. If I don't really like it, then maybe two. But
Mhm.
it's just necessity. We weren't hitting the numbers that we needed to hit, and obviously I have family to feed. I have lights kept to keep turned on, and I just think that's kind of what helped us kind of get into it. So I would just say my tips for people who aren't used to doing videos, just look at yourself in the mirror. I told this to every guy, even our door-to-door reps, like look at yourself in your mirror and look at how you look. And you can, as you're talking, right, and see if there's anything that you don't like. That way you can you can prepare yourself. So that way when you shoot your ad, you're just ready to go. You're used to it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And then obviously, like Jay was having me use like some words that I'm not really used to saying. And I was like, hey man, I'm not gonna like it just kept throwing me off. So
Yes.
it would make me frustrated. So just use your language. I just talk like Jose, you talk like yourself, and I guarantee you people are gonna like that more than you trying to be someone you're not. So I would just say be yourself. Understand that it's a process, and then just try to actually work on yourself and try to get better. But yeah,
I love it. I'd also add to that, like, understand that your first video is probably going to be the worst one you ever made.
that
Like, that whole thing, you have to be willing to be great at anything. You have to be willing to suck first, in business and relationships and a sport and video. Like, it doesn't matter. You're going to suck before you're good. You're going to be good before you're great. That whole thing. Um, I personally like, so I on my end, like, I had my first marketing company had a really big video department. So I
yeah,
was behind a camera a lot. And so I knew
yeah,
how it worked. I knew what the lights looked like. I knew all the tech specs. I knew all that stuff. I knew what the final product should be. I'd written thousands of scripts, all this stuff, right? But I had never been the person on the other side. And so for me, it was a little bit like, crap, I know what these videos should look like. And I've had so many like thousands and thousands of hours filming people that looked great on camera, and now here I am and I look like crap. So it
yeah,
was like that was a tough one for me, but like, kind of like you, man, I was just like, crap, I just got to do it, you know.
yeah,
And I still look at videos and I'll be like, I don't like this, I don't like this, and I'll just slowly tweak, and you get better, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's also like a big one, right? It's fear of like looking dumb or getting fun of.
Yep.
Another thing that we haven't talked about, Mike, is when contractors do, like for me, I post content on like, or I was posting content on my personal page. Some people have the fear of like they're gonna find like my videos, and I don't know how my clients are gonna take them. I would just say shoot videos. Don't be scared. To be honest with you, Mike, a lot of my friends, my painter friends, they would laugh at my videos because
Yeah.
they're not the best, right? They're not the best. Like I don't have the nice setup that you have, right? But it's like just shoot them, and obviously, like I said, I was able to get that much a return on investment. So I know for me, I'm going to be laughed at, but at the end of the day, they're working out for me, and they're doing good for us. So yeah,
I think that's a really good point too. Like, so I do have some of this, but it just comes from my video background. Again, from
yeah,
what, like, I did a lot of video marketing, so like it was fine. But I'm also equally as fine just on a phone like this. Like,
yeah,
it does not have to be anything great. I think you should aim for base, like, be able to see you. Don't
yeah,
be in like such a dark place you can't see it. Don't be such a bright place like it looks really, really bad.
yeah,
Just look at it. Does it look okay? Move a little bit if you need to. It doesn't have to be like cinematic. And then make sure you're close enough to your microphone so it actually like sounds decent. And like past
yeah,
that, push record and go.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I love that about you, man. You got so many reels. I watch them all the time. I think it's really, really great. And
Thanks.
I've never laughed at it, brother. I think it's fantastic. I think it's good
Oh yeah,
stuff.
no,
It's
yeah. I mean,
genuine.
yeah. Now it's like I'm okay with it, and I have another. There's another guy here. He owns a flooring company, and I told him I was like, "Hey man, like how long did it take you?" He shoots like twice as much videos as I do, which is
Mhm.
pretty insane. I feel like I shoot a lot, but he shoots even more.
Mhm.
Anyways, I was like, "Hey man, what do you do like when you don't like a video?" He's like, "I don't care. I just post it." And you'll see like in some of his videos, like I feel like he realizes like he said something wrong, or he doesn't like how he stands, but he just like acts like I don't know, like no one sees that. It's really funny. Anyways, like
That's
he just
great.
really doesn't care. He just really doesn't care. So,
That's
anyways, yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well, for those of you listening, I think, big takeaways here, like, content is super, super valuable.
yeah.
Like, no matter how you slice it, whether it's just video ad content, but moreover, like, organic content. Um, what do you do as far as like where you post it? Because I mean, I see your Instagram and your Facebook. Do you post it in other places too?
So we actually had a conversation with Jay earlier this week. So we are starting to put things on TikTok now. My other half was like, "Is that I want to help? How can I help?" So we're like, "Okay, let's have you take over the TikTok section because she
Okay.
does personal TikTok. She does great. Um, so she's going to help out with TikTok, and then we're going to implement it on YouTube as well. So those are areas that we plan on also like adding them on too. But yeah,
So for us, what we do is it's kind of similar. We put every time we make a piece of content, so we have to do content at scale too. So I've thought about this like in a little bit more nuanced ways than most people do. So we define content as an idea, not a physical form.
yeah,
So we start with the idea, It could be a tip, like let's say like, how to caulk a bathtub or something, right? So that's an idea. I might create that as like a graphic. I might create it as like a text-based bullet post, like here's 3 tips. I might create it as a short video. I might create it as a long form YouTube content with a little bit more nuanced detail. Like it could take on several physical forms and links and
Yeah.
complexities all from the one idea. So we first define the idea, then we figure out what length and complexity it needs to be, or does it need multiple, right? And then once that's identified, then it's like, okay, now I need these physical forms. So then we'll create the physical forms. And then once we have the physical form, we put it in every possible channel it can go,
Yeah.
like with no filter. So like if we're looking at like a vertical short style video, like that's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's TikTok, it's LinkedIn, it's
Yeah.
YouTube, like it's all of them. Like we have no filter. It's going everywhere possible.
Yeah.
Um, will it do better in some places? Yeah, it'll probably do better on Instagram and TikTok than it will on Facebook or YouTube. But I'm still going to put it in the other places. Even
Yeah.
if I only get 10% of the views, it's still views I wouldn't have had. And once
Yeah.
it's already made, it only takes an extra minute or two to publish it on a second channel. Like
Yeah.
it's not that much more work. It's like it's making the video and getting the file that's the bigger part of it.
Yeah.
Once it's there, I publish it everywhere.
Yeah.
I think if you want to take it more advanced, like you said, you're going to optimize for TikTok. Every channel has like their things where like this length or this style or whatever might trend better. So
Yeah.
you can start if you want to be more advanced. You can say, okay, well, I'm going to do this version for TikTok and this version for Instagram. But that starts getting into a huge content production needs.
Yeah. No,
We
and
don't
that's kind of where we're at right now.
we don't do that either. We don't do that.
Yeah. We're
I
just
know.
going to use the same content that we use on Instagram and Facebook. And the reason why it's because it's easier. I would be lying to myself if I said I can afford an in-house person that can do all that stuff. So for now, we're just reusing the content that we have.
The only people I know that really break it down are like the really big guys, like the Hermosis and the Gary V's. You know what I mean? They'll have a dedicated strategy just for LinkedIn, a dedicated strategy just for TikTok. It
Yeah.
gets really nuanced, but they have teams of people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Andy Elliott I know does similar, and like other big guys. But I don't think at like our modest company sizes, it's appropriate investment to do. So we
Yeah.
take create one piece of content and then put it every possible place. So if I do
Yeah.
a written text, I'll go everywhere it can go too. Well, that's not TikTok
Yeah.
because TikTok only wants video. So I have to admit certain channels for certain things,
Exactly.
But everywhere I can, if I have a written piece of content, I'm going to put everywhere possible, you know,
Yeah.
blog, Facebook, email, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just take the kind of like create once and put it everywhere possible approach, and it works pretty well. Sometimes you'll see some pieces do better on one channel than others, but like I just don't care. I just
Yeah.
make new content, keep going.
Exactly. Just consistency. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
for sure, for sure. Um, so what are the plans finishing out the rest of the year? And you said your goals are to be around like 3. Like, what do you think you need to do to get there?
I think for me to get there is we tried something where we had just hiring a better sales team. We're seeing like an overflow with leads. So unfortunately, we had in the past weeks is we had a few estimates call us back out and say, hey, we have to cancel our appointment because of the fact that if you're 2 weeks out. So just hire more salespeople. We need to have a better system when it comes to our door-to-door team. So since last year, unfortunately, our door-to-door team has gone down a little bit. So just hiring a door-to-door manager to overtake that,
Okay.
because door-to-door, it's more. I don't like to say it's more time-consuming. You need to be there for your team. You need to train them. You need to motivate them. So unfortunately, I don't have the span, the span to do that anymore. Give them the same energy I
You
was
just
giving
kind
them
of
last.
did you already find someone or
No, we're going through the process because obviously,
okay.
having the right person is it's huge, right?
Yeah.
Because he can read everything.
Yeah.
So it's just hiring the right person. And I think besides that, we have a really, really good direct mail in-house team that we have.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so just hiring another person to help out, work with door to door and direct mail to just make sure that we're hitting the neighborhoods that
In
we
the
need
same
to.
areas. Yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, I think that's it. And then obviously maybe bringing on another production manager or a production coordinator to kind of facilitate everything.
What do you also make sure that you use like your video ads on like Facebook or in the same areas that you're doing door to door and direct mail?
Yeah, so most of our business, 95% of it is in Seattle. I know a lot of times people are like, when I guess, painting companies here close by. They're like, yeah, we're based out of Seattle, and they're like 2 hours away from us. We're only in Seattle right now, so
So
we
yeah,
do
I
go
mean,
out to.
I have two clients in that general area. One is north of Seattle, the other is south of Seattle, and neither are in Seattle. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
we're
say
in
Seattle
Seattle.
loosely, but it's not. It's like quite a ways outside.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Seattle's big, so we are only in Seattle, and thankfully everything just works out amazing with SEO and everything. But yeah.
that's perfect. Yeah. So the SEO, the ads, the mail, the door knocking, just all in the same areas.
Yeah.
That's that kind of that Geico lizard effect, man. You know,
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's
It's just like,
crazy.
yeah, just getting seen by like every channel you possibly can. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. A lot of the stuff that we do, it's kind of like the guerrilla marketing mindset, right? We don't, we're starting to get into it where we're like kind of condensing everything even much more than we have already done. Obviously, my team's, we're just 1 year in business, so it took me some time to figure out some systems, but I think we're kind of nailing the head on the nail and making sure that everything gets done correctly. So it's really, really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are those KPIs as you're like leading and growing? Like, what are the big KPIs in the marketing and sales that you look at?
So obviously, we want to make sure that, what marketing costs roughly 10% of what, every marketing avenue. Some better than others, right? But one of the things that we want to make sure is that we're staying within those healthy numbers and that we're hitting
Mhm.
those the right way. Right now, direct mail has been amazing for us. We're paying 26 cents per lead, which is pretty freaking insane.
You said
Um,
what number?
26 cents per lead. It's costing me,
On direct mail?
yeah, because we do in-house. So we pay 26 cents per flyer that gets dropped off. So per the flyer, 26 cents, and then the flyer cost is probably like 9, 10 cents. So about 36 cents per lead is what we're doing right now for flyers. We're getting like crazy numbers.
You're mailing these.
No, we're dropping them off door to door.
Drop. Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's like incorporated with a door to door. Okay.
Yeah. No, but this is like, sorry, how do I explain this? So we have a direct mail. We're like trying new things where we're just hitting certain areas with just direct mail. And we've gotten some leads for just literally 36 cents. Like we only drop off a flyer. That's all we've done. And they call us out when we close the job.
What's your print costs on your flyers?
I believe it's 11 cents.
And you're dropping them off, not shipping them.
Correct.
Okay. Are you calculating for the labor and gas of actually moving them around and getting them there? Or
We pay piece rate. So we pay them 26 cents per flyer that they drop off. We track them with a GPS tracker. And
okay,
obviously our print costs 11 cents. So that puts us up around 37 cents per
okay,
flyer.
gotcha. So then, how can your lead rate be less than the cost of actually delivering one piece of material? You said 36 cents per lead, and it's 37 cents to deliver.
I forgot to put
No,
the cost of the flyer. So it's like
no, I got
37 cents. Yeah.
yeah, that's still. I mean, so you're telling me that like 100% of those give you a lead?
Yeah. And not 100% of them, but I mean, I guess like once we get them out the door, I guess you're right. That's not 100%. I would
If
say we're getting,
that's why like I mean I'm not trying to argue that you're doing
yeah, of
great on
course.
that, but if your piece of mail costs 37 cents to the door, right?
Yes.
And one in two, which would be
Yes.
incredibly high turn of lead, it would at least be double that.
No, sorry, you're right. Oh my God. I would say probably, if I'm not mistaken, we're around like 42%
Okay,
of the
so
flyers that we drop
basically
off.
like two and a half pieces of mail. That's still under $1 a lead. Like I'm not saying it's still not
Yeah.
fantastic.
No, of course.
That's absolutely crazy. How are
Yeah.
you, so it's not mail. It's a delivery courier service that's dropping them off. Is that what's happening?
So we hire people in house. We pay them piece rate, so it's like I said per flyer. And then we have just a flyer.
Uh
We
huh.
don't do any flyer. What is it called? Door hangers. We
Okay.
just do a flyer that makes you kind of actually read it, and that's kind of,
Okay.
I feel like it has a little bit of a QR code. That's it. Doesn't have anything else on it. And I feel like that's worked best for us because when you see a door hanger, when you go to your home and you come home from work, you see a door hanger, you're like, oh my God, who is this again? Is it a roofing company? Is it a
Most of the
painting
time, you just
company?
rip it off and throw it away as soon as you walk in the door.
Yeah, exactly. So when
Yeah.
you drop this, it's kind of like, what is this? You pick it up and then it's us. And
Do
then
you
you
just like
call
drop
us.
it on the front doorstep?
Yeah.
Yep. That's clever, dude. That's clever. Yeah, I think
Um,
one of the tough pieces with any kind of marketing, right? And this is broader. This is not like a meta strategy. This isn't door hanger strategy. Nothing. It's just whatever is common today, like gets blended in with everything. And
Yeah.
so like you have to try like what's interesting is because there's so much and like we're mostly digital, like almost all digital, right? But like
Yeah.
and so is Tritus and Ford Media and Basecoat and like a bunch of other like known agencies in the space. And like almost all of that effort is digital. It's like Google, Facebook, web, Maps, LSA, Meta, etc. But sometimes something as simple as like a print on the doorstep gives you
Yeah.
like this killer result, and it's just crazy to think about. And it's not because like it's not like one channel is better than the other, but if you back up like 20 years ago and everyone was in the yellow pages and everyone was doing door knocking because
Yeah.
Google like didn't really exist, at least not in its current like the meta ads weren't a thing yet. Like Facebook was just being invented. Ads weren't there for a very, very long time after. So like contractors being on meta, that's relatively new, you know?
Yeah.
And so like there was a period like when I was coming up into marketing where like TV and radio and so it dates me a little bit, but like I mean I have bought TV spots and radio spots and yellow pages spots. If it tells you how long I've been in this game.
Yeah.
And so like and there was a period of time when that was actually the highest ROI activities you could do, but it was also really tough because it was everyone else was doing it, right?
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden digital is like everything. And now it's crazy because you can go back and do door knocking and drop flyers on the doorstep because no one else is doing it. It crushes. It's just crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, that's killer, man. So between door knocking and flyers, man, that is just absolutely incredible results.
Yeah. No, I think it helps. I think it's just like I can't think of the word right now, but just making sure that, because when we're dropping off flyers and door knocking in these areas, we're doing it where we're already doing work. Another thing that I do, Mike, is I go ahead and I leave yard signs when I close the job. So last year I closed
On the
probably,
property that you actually did, right? Yeah.
no, we haven't even done it yet. I just leave a yard sign.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah. So
awesome.
as soon as I,
So like
as,
one
as
that
soon as I
you're
close,
going to do.
yeah. So
That's
I leave. It's crazy, man. I have, I kid you not, yard signs that are even turning like a little bit of yellow, just because of the fact that they've been up there for like almost a
and the
year now.
homeowners allow it and they're cool with it.
Yeah, man. We give them a discount, right? So one of the things that I also learned from a buddy of mine is he's like, Jose, you need to start doing customer testimonials. And I was like, okay, I need to start doing that. And he's like, yeah, every time I give a discount, I told him that I need to do a customer testimonial. So what I was thinking, I was like, obviously we're using some discounts to close some deals, right? But I'm always just giving discounts, right? But what am I getting in return? I need to I need to get something, right? If we're going to be giving out discounts. So I was like, okay, we're going to we're going to get some marketing out of it. We're going to get a customer testimonial and we're going to get a yard sign as soon as we close the deal. And I kid you not, it's just been killer for us.
That's
So
really cool.
so no discounts gets given unless we get something in return.
So I'm generally a fan against discounts. Like I kind of have the Hermosi approach where it's like it's either full price or it's zero. Like there's
Yeah.
not really anything in between. There are some exceptions though, and I think this is a really great one. You know,
Yeah.
there are times where I think discounts can be. I don't like there are some marketing agencies that are like, oh, the only way we're going to get leads is if we offer like a 10% discount. Like that's complete
Yeah.
BS. I don't like that at all. I don't want to bake in that. You know how many times I go to like a website and then like there's a pop up that says 10% off? You mean every person that sees my website is going to get 10% off? It's not even a real
Yeah.
price anymore. That's just your price is 10% less than what you have. It's not even a discount. It's like if everyone gets it, it's not a discount, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I agree. I see a lot of those, and even some of the the Tritus wanted us to do some stuff like that. And I was like, hey, I want to make sure that all the discounts I give out are legit. And obviously, like a lot of the companies close by, they give like 15, 20, 30%, and it's like really like as a homeowner, when you see this, you're like, holy shit, like are these discounts legit? So when we do give discounts out, it's because hey, you're helping us market, so it is a legit discount. So this is what we give you. So that's kind of the way that we try to handle things and try to overcome everything. But yeah.
I like that a lot. So I'm a super nerd when it comes to like marketing stuff. I study crap that most people wouldn't even think to study. And one of the things that I study is pricing psychology. It just nerds me out. I love it. And one of the things that I learned is relative to discounts is that any discount that's 15% or higher, people feel like it arbitrarily was marked up to be able to give the discount in the first place. And so like there becomes a limit. Like the second you're giving a 20-25% discount away, dude, that they just devalue your initial price. That's all
Yep.
that's happening, right?
Exactly.
Not a good thing. You don't want someone thinking that the price you gave them is a made up fake BS price. Like that just is not a good idea. And then another thing that I learned that's kind of somewhat similar is incremental of 5 discounts. So 5, 10, 15.
Yeah.
Those are considered like placebo discounts. Like they just don't really work well because they feel like they're just arbitrary. But if we like,
Yeah.
hey, look, I've calculated this, like for my lead for this marketing, this normally costs us this. I can give you like an 11% discount. That's the cap. It feels like calculated. Like I've
Yeah.
actually studied my numbers and know it. And there's
Yeah.
data that shows that this is weird, but like a discount like 11% will convert more than a 15 or 20% will, because it feels calculated and because
Yeah.
you actually put thought into that number. So a lower discount can actually convert more if you avoid 5, 10, 15 and don't go over,
Yeah.
which is really, really weird. But like,
It's nice though.
it's
Yeah.
kind of cool though, right? So like you can give someone like a 7% discount or a 3% discount or something like that. And it's like, oh, they won't even argue with it because it feels like, oh shoot, that's just what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But
Early,
then,
early on, when similar to what you're talking about is, when we set up like meetings or Zooms or anything, we can't go back to present for whatever the reason is. We set up appointments at like 3:07, 3:11, 3:12, 3:13. And
for the
usually,
time for the meeting.
and they show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I do other things too, like in like automation nurture sequences and stuff, delaying communications by arbitrary amounts. Like
Yeah.
most like email nurture systems, like even things something like drip jobs, it's like there's almost always an immediate confirmation, which is fine. Like if I book an appointment, I want an immediate that's cool. But if there's like a message that's not a confirmation, but it like comes from you at some delayed point, like, hey, this is Jose. I saw you booked an appointment with my team. I'm super excited to meet you. And that comes exactly at 30 minutes. No one buys it. No
Yeah.
one. So like when I do my own nurture sequence stuff or when I help my clients with it, I do arbitrary times like that. Meeting times at arbitrary, at like really random things, delays things of like, a 27-minute or a 38-minute or whatever, like
Yeah.
kind of delay. Those weird increments, they start feeling more human. I'll even go so far as to intentionally do misspellings in text and emails
Yeah.
because then it feels like it's human written, not like an odd. Because like most automation systems these days have perfect grammar, perfect paragraph breaks, perfect punctuation, perfect spelling. It's like something you'd write in English class, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like that's not how you and I are talking right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and if you were to
Yeah.
shoot me a text or a message, like we were just chatting on Facebook a little bit before, we're all using dots and ellipses and shorthand and abbreviations. Like, so I write my automations like the same way. So like, I
Yeah.
think like if you, like use random discounts, use random times and use intentional, like, thing. And now I'm not saying you would print a flyer like that necessarily, but there's places where you can do that stuff where like you might want to make it too perfect, and that too perfect can actually hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you're telling me. I love all this stuff. Like,
Yeah. Me too.
uh, I think Gary Vee was one of the persons that like spells things incorrectly.
Yep.
It was. I think it was Gary Vee. Yeah, it was Gary Vee. And then obviously like all my family and friends and just buddies, they laugh at me because all of my text messages are like written like an email. They're like, and they
Yeah.
just laugh at me. But that's just the way I write. So everything, all of our marketing stuff that I told you about, it's all written the same way. It's like as if it was like an email.
That's
Which,
awesome.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I don't think it was Gary Vee that did it. That
It was
started it. Like
it was someone though. I forget.
it started sooner than that, and I think it was really like Brunson from ClickFunnels is the one that first
Oh,
really
okay.
popularized it, and even he didn't invent it. I'm forgetting the guy's name, Dan Kennedy, which
Huh.
is like, so Dan Kennedy is like predates Russell Brunson. So Russell Brunson's like the funnel like
Okay.
guru. He's like he created ClickFunnels. He's really great at webinar secrets. He's got copywriting secrets, a bunch of like sales copywriting funnel stuff, and he incorporated that stuff. But what made him was he studied a guy named Dan Kennedy, which was like from the 80s, 90s, doing handwritten funnels.
Wow.
So like back in the day, like let's say like a CD club or something, you opt into it, and then you get like letters occasionally that like try to
Yeah.
upsell you and cross sell you. That was the father of that kind of stuff. So like sales letters, we see like VSL, video sales letters. it started as a sales letter. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
became a video sales letter. And Dan Kennedy is like the father of that. And he would write these sales letters that, like, if you read like an old school like actual sales letter, it would read like modern day funnels and VSLs do, because
Yeah.
it's the psychology, right? But he would introduce like misspellings and punctuations and wrong fonts and weird shit in there, typographical errors, make things look that they were written on a typewriter, and then he'd have people sign them at the bottom, right? He'd have teams of
Yeah.
people signing them. This is before like the machines could sign them, so you just like
Yeah.
pay people to like random sign, and it might not. It probably wasn't going to be his actual signature, but you know what I mean? It would look like it was
Yeah.
hand signed, look like it was handwritten letters, did all those tactics to do that same kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And this is like way before Google, way before funnels existed.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me because I've been in marketing long enough to see like the same concepts that would have made like a radio ad work in like the early 2000s are the same basic psychological constructs that make a Facebook ad work today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like people haven't changed the way they make decisions. They just change where they engage media. That's really it.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah.
So I found like the most success just studying like the really core concepts, the psychology side of things.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Yeah, if you haven't read any of Dan Kennedy's stuff, you should.
I have to look him up.
It's super. Yeah, any of Russell Brunson's stuff, and then any of Dan Kennedy's stuff. And like Russell Brunson, like literally goes on record, like he's like, I learned everything I know by studying Dan Kennedy. So like, if you want to learn,
Look him up.
you want to learn some hardcore, serious OG marketing, like you can't get better than that.
Yeah.
It's super neat.
I love all that stuff, man. It's like I tell people because I get people who hit me up like a few times a week. Not that like I'm someone big or anything crazy. And they're like, "Hey, what do you recommend? What should I do?" And I'm just like, try everything you can and just throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Like literally, you never know what's gonna stick. Like I told you, I got laughed at the little videos that I was shooting, right? The little videos that I was shooting, and look what they are now. So yeah.
I know. And would you say, was it 250,000 or so? 270?
Yeah, 230, 230.
230. That's
Yeah.
that's a huge chunk of money on
Yeah.
30 minutes of video production a week. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like what is
Yeah.
that? 25 hours a year? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's an incredible amount of money. So you're talking about like an hour per thousand, an hour for $10,000 in return. So 1 hour video, $10,000 in return. That's a crazy ROI.
And that's
Like,
in 5 months. That's 5 months. So we
I
don't know
know
how much it
it'll
was.
be more later. But like if you
Yeah.
think about that time, like most people's time is worth most business owners' time if they really like dialed it in and said, hey, look at my salary over the year divided by the work hours I do, you probably find that average business owners are probably like the $100 to few $100 range, right?
Yeah.
But that one activity for you is worth $10,000 an hour.
Yeah. It's nice.
That's crazy, right? Think about that.
Yeah.
Man, I can't recommend it enough. And that's one of my favorite things about you and your brand and your channel is just how much videos you do. I preach it to all my clients. Most of them invite me on it. Nearly all of them refuse to do it. So I wish, and I hope, in this podcast, some people look at this and see what you've done and see that ROI and like, man, I really got to jump into content.
Yeah. No, I think like I said, it was a necessity. If it wasn't for, if I've had, like let's say all good months, right? Which is no one does, right? But if I did, then I don't think I would have done that stuff. And obviously because of necessity, I needed a door knock, right? Because I didn't have any door knocking experience. So like everything I've done has been necessity and obviously wanting to grow. And I have really, really big goals. So obviously, I need to do things that are out of my comfort zone in order for me to get there. But yeah.
Man, I love that concept. You got to be out of the comfort zone to grow. Like I think, comfort is the enemy of growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Fear.
but I think the opposite of fear is comfort.
Yeah.
So I think like if you're staying in a place of comfort, you're not challenging fears, you're not doing things uncomfortable, you're not actually growing, you're just staying put,
Yeah.
And I think like in my own life, like there's always things where I feel like at this very moment, I could rattle off a few things where I'm intentionally being very, very uncomfortable. And there's also a few things where I'm intentionally being comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think the people that tend to grow the most are the things that challenge that comfort the most.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's one of the biggest things that, has helped me out. And Yeah, man, just obviously following people who are doing things that you want to do. They don't just do one marketing avenue. They
Like
do a
Justin,
bunch of
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, you jumped in with Justin. Justin's a rock star, dude. I love that
Yeah,
guy. He's so good. He's so good. I think it was something else that I like from what you said. Like you needed to do door knocking. I think that I think that I've done door knocking before. I've done cold calling before. I've done all kinds of sales before, and I think that door knocking is one of those skills that I think just about every business owner should do at least once.
yeah,
And I don't
I
mean for
agree.
1 hour. I mean for like a period. Like do it for like
Yeah,
3 6 months. Like learn it. I think
yeah,
that the growth that you will have in that uncomfort and that fear is worth its weight in gold. Like
yeah,
you learn to have conversations with random strangers. My wife won't do it. She hates sales, but like when we travel and we travel a lot, like
yeah,
we're always traveling. Like travel is like a core part of my personality. Like I always want to travel. I'm
yeah.
going to travel until I just physically can't anymore. And at that point, I just want to die. Like I just love traveling. But when I travel, man, like I don't care where I am. I talk to everybody. I don't.
Yeah,
It just doesn't matter. I talk to everybody everywhere. And she's like the polar opposite, really bashful, and she always makes a joke where like you always make my friends for me because like we go anywhere and I'm just like let's go. But a lot of that comes from I wasn't that person until I door knocked,
yeah,
right? I was in middle school, high school, I was a pretty shy, bashful kid, incapable of those kind of like random one-off conversations and
yeah,
still being comfortable. Door knocking opened up, pun intended here, opened up a lot of doors, for me.
yeah. No,
And I didn't
exactly.
make tons of money actually doing door knocking, but the skills that I learned door knocking opened up tons of doors.
One of
So
the things I'm never going to forget is we had a guy who's actually a cousin of mine, and he's very, he's a taller dude. He's just a really nice guy, but shy, right? He's like, hey man, I want to give it a shot. So he door knocked with us last year,
okay.
and after a few months, obviously he was expecting a little one, so he had to, get into a different career. And he was like, thanks, I appreciate everything you've done, man. I'm able to like actually talk to people and like when I need a size in a shoe, like, and he explained to me an interaction he had at a shoe store where he was actually able to speak with someone about his shoe and like what he wanted. Before he would just like look down and be like, hey, can I get this? And then that's it, right? But
Yeah.
like, hey, what does this shoe help me out with? I'm looking for something like, with these requirements. And he was like, if it wasn't for door to door, I wouldn't have been able to do that because I'm just a really shy dude. So his communication skills have been amazing. So
I
yeah,
mean, at the end of the day, like leadership is communication, sales is communication. You know what I mean? Relationships with your spouse and your kids is communication. Like, so like, I don't know. I think that every person I've ever worked with, internally and clients that shies away from those type of conversations and those type of things like door knocking or cold calling or having too many Zoom meetings, they all seem to have a very clear plateau in their communication abilities, you know? And I think, I mean, if you look at Justin, I mean, and even yourself, y'all are both younger than me. But like Justin's an amazing communicator.
yeah,
And I bet if you ask him, he owes it all to sales. It's because he's done
yeah.
tens of thousands of door knocks at this point. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, man, I love that you did that, and I love that you embraced that. I love that you embraced, video. I think that there's, a lot of lessons that I hope people can unpack from this to just get out of that fear zone and just do it anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So, dude, man, I really enjoyed having you on. Do you have any other final parting wisdom notes for our listeners before we jump off?
I would just say the only thing is just like don't let fear control your life. I feel like that's something that that I let myself get controlled by early on. I really find painting, and thankfully I had a conversation with someone at a Tommy Mello event, and he
Awesome.
was telling me, yeah, I think 7 years he got $100 million HVAC company, and he was just telling me like invest in yourself, take the risk. And ever since we started doing that, he told me, get in debt, which obviously for some people it's a good thing. I'm really good when it comes to debt. So I think that's like the skills that I grew that I have. So it's really nice. But anyways, I use my debt to get where I'm at right now. And I'm glad I did it because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So just, be fearless, and I'd be lying to you if I said that we all live with fear, right? In some way before. But try to not let it overtake you as much as possible. And I think the only thing another thing that's helped us get where we're at, and I tell people, is just be efficient, think fast. If you take too long, like, hey, I'll get back to you in a week, like you could realistically, you can make a decision right away. Draw a T chart.
I actually think that's just another form of fear. I
Yeah.
think over prepping is a form of procrastination, and procrastination is a form of fear. So I think it's actually kind of like, don't be feared, just make a choice and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I hate that about when people start like, oh yeah, hey Jose, what have you done? Oh yeah, I'm gonna start doing that. Like, do that right now. Like
Yeah. Just do
as
it
we're
now.
done talking, just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? And everybody's wanting the best equipment, the best everything. Just start. And that's my biggest thing too. People watching this, if you want to grow, just try to not let fear overtake your life, and obviously just take action. It's not rocket science, right? Just do
Well,
that, and I
how
guarantee
about
you.
how about we challenge everyone watching this? If you made it this far and you're still with us, as soon as you're done here, grab your phone and just push record and record a video and then post it.
Yeah, and then tag me, and then I'll share it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Tag us both. Tag us both.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, so that's kind of my thing to everybody. And Micah, painting and owning the business, it's hard, but it's not rocket science, right?
Yeah.
Or else there wouldn't be that many business owners nowadays. But
Yeah.
yeah, just live without fear.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, dude, thanks for being a great inspiration. Thanks for your time today. I appreciate it. Love watching the journey, and we'll chat soon. Bye, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Hey, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you're looking for help growing your contracting business, I invite you to join my free community. In there, we go live with amazing trainings, share resources and downloads, plus you get free help from me and from peers. That link is down below to join, and we'll see you in the next video.